Welcome everybody to episode 247 of The China Show, The Real China Show.
And today's area code shout out is to Ascension Island. And I can almost guarantee there is no one there watching us because I think it's impossible.
You think so?
Yeah, to get like a package, it takes them like weeks. It has to go from the UK to South Africa and then all the way over into the middle of the ocean, or months, something like
Such
that.
a cool name for an island.
It's awesome. Anyway, today is about China, obviously,
Yes.
as we are the China Show. And we found something really messed up.
Sure.
In terms of the fire propaganda that's coming out of China.
We've got a lot to cover, not just that.
No, it's a bunch of stuff, but it is truly sinister.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we had to do some labeling. We had to label everything as this is a China fake thing because we don't want you guys thinking it's like real. Anyway, we'll get into that later.
So we've got a jam-packed show. Let's saunter right into it with, give me a second, with what's new. This is where we talk about everything that's new, specifically with regards to China. Okay. And we'd just like to splash a little reality on everyone right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite sure everybody's been bombarded by this TikTok refugee propaganda that's been going on with the little red note showing everybody how amazing China is. And everyone's been lied to, because China's just this brilliant, forward place. Everyone's happy. It's a utopia where everyone's just, very successful and very pretty and driving around in fancy cars and eating really nice food. And there's nothing wrong with China. It's all we've been lied to, right?
Yeah.
We have to just unfortunately yank that little veil away from you and show you what China really is. Just remind you.
Especially the things that get blocked and censored. Because China tries to hide all of these things. It's
the same as people looking at Instagram models prancing on the beach, and then someone says, well, look, this is like a homeless person on the street in America. It's not all roses,
Correct.
It's definitely somewhere in between. The problem is we know this when it comes to America because we've got crime shows and dramas. They dramatize this stuff. They glamorize it. You've got the news constantly showing you the bad sides. The whole world shows you the bad sides. So the good side, we all know the good sides are there too, but we know there's a balance. But with China, you only see the good sides.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am going to ask our audience, maybe we can just get somebody to just leave your comment in the chat.
Yes, let's get chat going. By the way, please like the stream. Help us get out of the gutter here.
Sure.
This algorithm's burying the stream. Please click the like button.
I would like to ask you, what do you think has happened here? We're going to show you a clip.
Leave a comment, by the way, if you're not watching live, leave a comment on what you think is happening here.
Yeah.
And then you can correct
So
it
this
later.
happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, in Sichuan. Let's take a look. Let's do it.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Beautiful neighborhood. All right, let's pause it there.
What do you think just happened, everybody? Okay.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think? Let's see.
So what do we have?
UFO, piano falls on car, plane crash, transformer exploded, rockets, aliens, storms, dragon attack, E.T., piss eggs?
None of the above. Okay, look. Just wanted to remind everybody how little the Chinese government thinks of the people out in the countryside here.
Yeah.
What this was, as you're going to see in a minute here, was a satellite launch gone wrong. So the Xichang Satellite Launch Center in China launched a number 14 communication technology test satellite using a Long March 3B carrier rocket. But the satellite unfortunately crashed after launch, confirming a failed mission. I like how the outcome here is like, crash.
Outcomes crash. The thing is, satellites crash, rocket ships crash, but China doesn't account for the trajectory of where they will crash.
Yeah.
We've seen this time and time again. And it's funny how quickly the sensors rush to the footage. They rush. They're like, nobody is going to see where this rocket crashed because, as you can see prior to that...
Oh, yeah, we just wanted to remind everybody that this is normal.
It's very normal.
Okay, in this case, there was genuinely an accident.
Yeah.
Okay. And it crashed, but it crashed close to people's homes. We actually don't know the extent of the destruction because we only get to see that one video clip and we get a confirmation that, yes, it crashed. But we don't know if it landed on a residential building or in the middle of a village square. We don't know that. But from the past, we can tell you that these rockets...
The recent past.
Yeah. And the problem is, what you're looking at here are not failed launches, by the way.
No.
When China launches its satellites and stuff, it doesn't give a crap where the boosters fall. They don't care where the stages go. They just want to get it up there, right? So they launch things up, and whatever falls off the rockets and whatever, they just don't calculate for it because it's too time-consuming and costly to do so. So you see, it falls on people's houses, people's villages.
That's what you want. The neighborhood kids running away from a rocket booster, leaking toxic fuel everywhere.
Exactly. We've shown you this particular clip in the past.
Good reminder, though.
Yeah. We wanted to remind everyone that it's not like a once-off occurrence. No. It's actually fairly common when it comes to any kind of satellite launch. I sped up this footage a little bit here because it's a long clip. But I wanted to posit this to everybody out there. If NASA launched something, or SpaceX or something, and a big rocket crashed down on a village, spewing toxic chemicals everywhere, because, rocket fuel is incredibly toxic, like you can see here. Don't you think it would be bigger news?
Well, it would be massive. There'd be lawsuits out the wazoo. There'd be protests. It would be a massive thing. There'd be people running to their Congress people saying we need to, reorganize this or audit this or do whatever, right? Mm-hmm. What happens in China is they do this. They save money by not doing any of the hiring the engineers to actually find out where these boosters will land or if there's a failure to make sure that people aren't going to be killed.
Yeah.
They don't care about that because it's cheaper for them and better for them that when this happens, because it does, as you can see, when it lands on villages, it's better just to completely wipe out the news, block the videos, and block any of the keywords related to the towns that it fell on. Yeah. This is literally what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that aside, because we don't want to harp on about it too long, just again showing you that the safety of the people, the common people in China is not priority number one when it comes to China's space program anyway.
Yeah.
Something that happened the day before in Sichuan in China is... a rather large accident where a car lost control and smashed through a big amount of cars catching fire. And again, these kind of big accidents, when these things happen anywhere else in the world, you tend to hear about them.
Yeah, like a 100-car pileup with explosions and fire and bridges falling. Yeah. You'd probably hear about that.
You'd probably hear about it. But, this kind of thing, this is a pretty epic clip I just wanted to share.
Epically bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty epic. This is, quite insane what happened here. It's this car clipping the truck for whatever reason. Just wanted to throw in a little bit of contrast to the sort of bright, cheerful, touristy kind of Xiaohongshu videos you're seeing everywhere.
Yeah. Speaking of which.
Yes. So this particular YouTuber, and that's what's very annoying about this clip is that he cut it short.
Okay.
And, he chopped it up a bit. So we went through it and listened to what the Chinese taxi driver had to say, and we can confirm...
It's accurate.
Yeah, we can confirm that this is accurate. Anyway, so this particular, I guess he's a YouTuber, went to China, and he asked the taxi driver, well, we're just going to play it for you, and you're going to see what he has to say.
Go back slightly.
I'll go back a little bit so you guys can actually, from here. Let's take a look.
Is it illegal to talk bad about the government? Is he calling the police on me or what? I couldn't understand a single word that he was saying, but I tried to use my translator app and he shooed me away. My super travel senses kicked in and I knew that he called the police.
Yeah.
Burger King foot lettuce.
What?
You don't know that?
No.
Oh, it's the exact same voice as this meme. Anyway, now
That's,
here's the deal.
That's accurate, by the way.
That's
What the guy was saying is you could hear him say, like, you know, should I call the police?
Yes.
You know, to come.
So yeah, I mean, like, this is, we were talking about, like, oh, you lived in China's golden age. Like, what changed, right? What changed when you were there? This is what changed. It's the political climate changed to where taxi drivers would ask you about politics all the time.
Yeah, but remember, bear in mind, it was always the other way around.
Correct.
They will ask you about your politics.
Yes.
You can't ask them about China's politics.
No.
You can ask them,
Or
but you can't like insinuate anything's bad.
Yes. You could be like, yeah, tell me about China's political structures. I mean, you could do that. But to say, can you say anything bad about your government is warning signs up. Let me get on the phone and rat this guy out because I don't want to get in trouble.
Exactly.
And I got to make sure he's punished for this. See, I think people get so duped by this multi-billion-dollar push to get people to go to China to travel.
Yeah.
Is that they see these videos and everything's fine until it's not.
Yeah.
Because what you don't understand is that it is literally a Pyongyang, North Korea tour, but it looks like you can do more. And it looks like you have more freedom. Because until you don't, you do.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
Until everything goes pear-shaped.
Which we're going to show you later in this episode how
Yes.
bad it can get.
That's what I was getting at,
Yeah.
See what happens.
Okay, so here, just throwing in a couple of random fires that have happened in the past couple weeks in China. And you might be asking, like, what's the point of showing this? We're showing it because you wouldn't normally see it.
Nope.
Okay, we just have to splash of reality over there. China has these kinds of problems too. China has to deal with disasters and fires and accidents and all sorts of things too. It's not some kind of utopia that they constantly push at you, you know?
Well, in fact, these things happen at an alarming rate,
Yeah,
especially right now.
pretty commonplace, yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty wild. So you guys have probably heard of GoPro, right? I put good and bad on here just so people aren't confused. Because this picture shows a split-screen image of a GoPro and Insta360 cameras on sale sharing a rack at the U.S. Army Schofield Main Exchange, Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. So these two cameras are being sold next to each other,
Yes.
right? One of them is GoPro.
Which is good.
No problem.
By the
We
way,
love
GoPro is fantastic.
Great. Not a sponsor. Number two is Insta360, which became wildly popular.
Yeah, because it's a good technology. I mean, it's a great idea. It's the whole 360 camera type idea.
Yeah.
So for people that ride motorcycles or cars or whatever, it's a really nice thing to have.
Unfortunately,
But they did steal the technology.
yes, but unfortunately, beyond that,
Yeah.
beyond the theft,
Okay.
we're talking about a serious national security concern because it turns out this wildly popular camera, which positions itself in the market to be cheaper than its competition, had 276 endpoints of foreign communication with many in China and Russia.
Okay.
ByteDance and Huawei, right? So basically, they can actively or passively collect national security data and have become deeply embedded in NASA's work.
Yeah, because NASA sets it up when they do demonstrations
Yes.
or want to show the Mars probe type
Correct.
stuff or whatever.
Correct. So basically, they've uncovered in the hardware and software, I believe, was that? Yeah. They have found the code that shows that there are foreign endpoints for the data and your information.
Yeah, and through the app, like it actually sending things
Yes.
off to China and Russia and
Are
stuff.
you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all.
No.
So just so you know, if you have an Insta360 camera, I don't know what you can do. Maybe there's a firmware update. Maybe there's something you could do. Or just don't be filming anything that could be sensitive.
Yeah. Also, read the article below. It's a really good one.
Yeah, there's a good article. So you can get the facts straight.
Yes.
What a pity.
Yeah.
GoPro's excellent, by the way. All right, propaganda time. Okay, my favorite. Now, China's decided to do something kind of funny. They've decided that they're going to try jump on hype house culture.
Yes.
Okay.
Explain what a hype house is.
Well, you're probably better at explaining than me.
I don't know much, but I do know it's this phenomenon. Basically, think of Big Brother.
Yeah.
Remember Big Brother, guys? Like that reality TV boom. Man, I hated reality TV.
I'm glad that's kind of over.
Yeah, well, it kind of just morphed because now what you have are hype houses, and hype houses are a bunch of. This is a nightmare if you say it out loud.
Yes.
A bunch of vloggers that live together,
Yeah.
like YouTubers or influencers or TikTokers or whatever, living in one house, and then feel like living their life, and then when dramatic stuff happens, they film it and upload it, and then like pit themselves against each other, and who's making out with who or who's doing what. It's truly fall of Rome, like end of civilization stuff.
Agreed.
But it really is just a continuation of kind of the Big Brother phenomenon.
Yeah.
And instead of having the cameras that are watching everyone, they're filming themselves, right? So, and of course, most of it is just put on and drama. China, I just love the Chinese government. What they do is they go, we're going to jump on this phenomenon, but we can't have an organic one.
Yes.
So we're going to make our own propaganda version of this.
Yes.
And each episode is going to, like, to a cringe level, focus on a propaganda point we need to push that week.
Yes.
And it's amazing. It's the worst thing I've seen this year.
Yeah, so let's start out. Now, this is going to be ongoing because there's a couple of episodes. The first one is definitely not the best.
Shill Shack.
Yeah, Shill Shack, yes.
You guys are,
Shill
we
Shack.
wanted you to come up with some funny like memes and ideas and names for these people too.
Yeah, so we're going to start out. We're going to play it just once through without even saying a thing.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get out of it. Welcome to Slopaganda.
Welcome to Shill Shack.
I'm Lucas. I'm German, a student, and right now a foreigner in China. So I'm living in this house with my 5 friends. I have my sweet friend Essia, I have Courtney, I have Eva, I have Matteo, and, well, I would call it my frenemy Gabriel. And they basically something like my guides to everything that I need within China. New place, new friends, new everything. It almost feels like, well, it feels like I'm living in a sitcom.
Episode 1.
Yep.
That's your dinner, Lucas? You do know there's more out there than just bread and meat, right?
Yeah, but this is how we do it on the street.
Lucas, king of the street.
Oh, yeah.
Look at him. King of the street. Nice spot, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I mean, sandwiches are pretty efficient. You have 2 breads, boom, some fillings in between, and done. No work, no hustle. Besides, where did you get all these vegetables from? The fridge was completely empty this morning.
Oh, well, Lucas, there's so much more you need to know.
Huh?
Need firefighters? Call 119. Need an ambulance? Call 120. Oh, and if you need serious
Why is
help
she
from
dumb?
Xing Ta Shu Shu,
Don't know.
call 110.
What happened?
No idea.
But you know what? Sandwiches are very efficient. And it's not that bad eating them every day.
I mean, you do you, Lucas, but don't let me catch you eating your words instead of that sandwich.
This is so bad.
Yep.
Lucas, you've got to try this Hushao roll. It is really good.
Yeah, I'm fine. My sandwich is fine and it's efficient.
What am I watching?
Such nonsense.
Oh, another sandwich, Lucas. I mean, come on. I've got an extra taco. Please,
Is that a
double plate.
taco?
Or maybe my noodles.
I'm okay. I'm just gonna eat this sandwich on my way to class. It's more...
Efficient. Yeah, we know. He's so German.
Yeah.
What is this? China.
He's having like flashbacks.
He's having flashbacks to all their food.
Yeah.
Oh, is he trying the apps now?
Yeah.
Lucas!
I was this close to ordering delivery for the first time.
Bye, Daniela. Let me teach you how to use the apps so that you don't have to be held hostage by those sandwiches or by Gabriel anymore.
Thank you.
So basically, the first thing you want to do is put in your address. You put in the wrong address. You don't even know where we live?
No, I don't.
Okay, let me help you do that.
What? Look at this Shill Shack.
decide what we're going to eat for dinner. Are we doing pizza or dumplings? Come on! No, it is really good.
That was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
I know. Like, look, I don't want to go through it frame by frame, but
No,
there are a
no,
couple of things I absolutely wanted to point out here, okay? With this stupid, ridiculous nonsense. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about the kind of setup
living
they
in a
have over
sitcom.
here, right?
Yeah.
So first things first.
First things first. Okay.
Well, who's microwaving an eggplant? But whatever.
Why is she microwaving an eggplant?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get past that.
That's your dinner, Lucas?
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Who eats dinner in the middle of the fucking day? I'm sorry.
You're right. I didn't
It's
think
a
about
little
that.
bit bizarre.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. This is actually quite awkward because they've got this Egyptian girl who can't look at a man in the eyes when talking.
I guess. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it looks
I
like.
looked it up. It's apparently it's
Okay,
quite
good thing.
common custom.
Okay.
They can, but that like to hold you know, I think contact
Can't hold a
is,
brazzo gaze.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's apparently against the culture.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a weird mix that they've got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Who thinks that it's dinner time in the middle of the day? And then poor old Lucas here with his king of the street. You know?
Meat, right?
I think it's funny that they really latched onto this whole like stereotype thing. This script is absolutely written by like I'm gonna say a Chinese person that's never been abroad.
Well,
and
you
have
know-
only heard about stereotypes.
Well, you know, we it's pretty easy to find out because when you see the cast of characters that's here, let's skip through this a little bit. But you know, the Chinese girl in the dorm, we recognize her from Chinese state media.
Yeah,
she's
we've
actually
seen her
like a
on some
reporter. She's a proper Chinese state media reporter. So she's like the wrangler in this whole thing, like
Yeah, for
guiding
sure.
it all.
She's got the big spread of food as well. Did you
Yeah,
notice
exactly.
that?
It's like, oh, look, your
Look at this banquet.
Yeah, your sandwich. Get out of here! I cut out a whole monologue about like these are the apps that you use.
Yeah, so this one was a push for Chinese apps. So
Yeah.
we could tell.
yeah,
So we cut the propaganda part out.
because it was just like so boring.
Schlock.
The whole point of this like quirky comedic
Yeah.
skit was, you know, our apps are
Yes.
great. You
and
use
your apps
these.
suck. Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
don't have apps like this.
Yeah, you and your stupid
Your
sandwiches.
efficient sandwich.
Yeah, we got so much choice, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, so that's Shill Shack.
Yes,
It's
we
China's,
wanted to introduce it without too much editing because we
Yes.
wanted you to get to know the characters and stuff. There's multiple episodes of this and they get very
it gets-
bad.
gets
Much worse.
way worse.
Much worse.
Yeah.
I was actually
Yeah.
really sad we didn't get to hear about his chocolate ball.
Oh, yeah, his chocolate ball. Don't worry, you'll hear all about Lucas's chocolate ball in an upcoming episode.
Yes.
You
Anyway.
know, thought we'd just get past this.
Broccoli hair, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas is the broccoli hair king of the streets.
Yeah, he
and
is.
then his Croatian counterpart is like what, like the intellectual stereotype, like
Yeah.
the bookworm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be here and analyze my dish over here.
It's like the most bizarre grouping
It's
of characters ever.
So bad. It's like
Yeah.
it's like watching a PSA.
Yeah.
And it's like trying to get kids not to do drugs type of thing.
Yeah,
But it's
nobody has
CCP
anything in
propaganda.
common. They're like just,
No.
you know, just a very bad mix. It's like throwing oil and water together. This
Yeah,
bunch.
like they clearly don't know each other.
And I have no idea why they decided to base it around Lucas.
Yeah, like he's the king.
Yeah, again, we're going to make this whole series about
It's about
this
Lucas.
guy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's very
and this
funny.
like quirky Lucas guy. Anyway, it'll be fun. We'll be bringing up more in the future. Don't worry.
Yes.
Time for us to move on to the serious stuff, though, guys. Soft
Yeah.
Power Hour. Now, I just can't explain to you how damaging the social media disinformation is these days. So we're just gonna have to show you. All right.
Okay.
So-
I do have a warning. And by the
Yes.
way, before we get to this warning, can you please like the stream? It would really help unbury
Yeah.
this stream.
Please.
Please, we would really appreciate that. Thank you. Click the like button. Appreciate it. This is going to be a big warning. And if you could, by the way, share this out because this is going to be a very damning segment.
Yes.
This got me pissed off, but it's more than that. I think it's actually quite scary. Like it has big implications.
Yes.
We do want to put this warning out, and this warning is for you, and it's also for anyone that might take these clips and want to spread them around or show whoever, like their friend or their congressman or whatever they're gonna do. Be very aware that everything we're about to show is fake China-centered or China-created AI imagery. This is not genuine stuff. We're not proliferating this bad, malicious propaganda campaign from China. So I did put a label on all the videos as well. But it's very important for you to understand what you're about to see is not real. It is from the Chinese government, most likely. It's definitely from China, as a malicious anti-U.S. campaign.
Yeah, so we're going to start out with this ridiculous thing over here. And this, unfortunately, has fooled a lot of people. Believe it or not.
Yeah, this is...
The fire's burning high, stocks falling in the west. Lost my home last Friday, but hey, life's still a quest. Found myself a little at where kindness lights the way. Shaongshu's a village where strangers laugh and play. We're swapping cats and stories through sunshine and rain. Not about where it's made, but the bridges that we weave. Shaongshu, we're human, and that's what I believe.
Can you pause it on him quick?
I've got to pause it on him. And there's a couple of things we have to talk about in this stupid bloody video. But anyway, yeah, there he is.
This is the least scary thing we're going to show you in this segment, the least damning thing, but it's also like a very obvious precursor to what we're talking about. Because do you know how the video started? First off, this is a fake man. This is AI.
Yes.
This is a fake song. It's AI. There are no real instruments. It is full-on AI. And if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will about the future AI. But this is not a real video. It's obviously AI. But the problem is it was being shared as a genuine, concerned, fed-up American.
TikTok refugee.
And he wanted to get out there on his guitar and his whatever flute with Chinese guzheng in the background.
Yeah, I know.
And sing about how
Xiaohongshu is great.
Xiaohongshu is great, which is red note. But also, and more importantly, right in the beginning, he says that he lost his house in the fires.
Yeah, America's burning and the stocks have gone down.
The stocks have plummeting.
In the West.
I lost everything, but life's just a quest. But good thing I found this little app. So I lost my house in the fire, in the LA fires.
Yes.
Everything's falling apart. The stock market's in the shitter.
Yes.
The US economy's done. And I went to an app and I found this really amazing place where everyone can just get along.
This dude looks pretty chill for someone who lost everything.
He does. He decided to go out in the woods with his flute and sing a song.
The problem about this is that I saw it spreading organically on Xiaohongshu because, I know people that have Xiaohongshu, and going through the Xiaohongshu feed, people were praising this as like, yeah, you see, this is the kind of American that really appreciates us. You know what I mean? Because it's made to stroke the ego of the Chinese nationalists and at the same time also work as counter propaganda to say, you see, all you Americans do appreciate China. And you should too.
And everything about their country is falling apart.
Yeah.
So do you remember we talked about this? And this goes back to some of our old catalog. It's called dual purpose technology.
Yeah.
And this is a military application of the PLA.
Yeah.
So the PLA, the People's Liberation Army of China, what they do is they take something that can be used for two things, right?
Yeah.
And if you turn it into propaganda, it can be used to bolster China's nationalist confidence, and it can also be used to denigrate the U.S. So this is a good example of dual-use technology.
Correct. Here's the thing. Sure, I'm quite sure most of you can spot that this is just AI generated when you see it on a big screen, but when it's on your phone and you're doom scrolling through stuff, this could very easily be seen as legit.
Yes.
Okay? Because it takes a little bit of a trained eye to spot these things.
I'm reading the chat here. It says AI, clearly AI.
Obviously,
right? What American calls it Xiaohong something. We were talking about if this was like a real, let's just pretend it was a real guy, which is not.
Yeah.
But if it was a real guy from America, he'd be like, Exile Hong.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They don't know how to say Xiaohongshu by reading XIAO. No. The thing is, honestly, when I saw this, because I'm so bloody done with all the Xiaohongshu propaganda that's been going around. When I saw my wife was scrolling through and I saw this dude's video there, I only saw a still of it.
Okay.
And I saw that it had millions of views. It had millions of views, by
almost
the way.
3 million.
Yeah, and who knows how many other times it's been shared.
Oh, yeah, copied and shared, yeah.
So it had millions of views, and everybody's talking about this, great American showing how much he appreciates Xiaohongshu or whatever. I saw a still, and I thought it was real, because it's not moving.
Yeah.
Right? And if you took a still from any one of these on a phone screen, you could think it's real, right?
Yeah.
The fire's burning high, stocks falling in the west. Lost my home last Friday, but hey, life's still a quest.
Who says that?
That guy, look at his mouth.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is such bullshit.
Isn't it just?
Oh my gosh. It's no, you know it's quadruple use technology because it's also denigrating like people in America that lost their homes in the California fires, and at the same time promoting this app. So there's many different aspects to this.
Yeah, it's absolutely abhorrent what's being done here. It's taking advantage. And, it would be quite funny to see this mirrored.
Yeah.
What if in AI you got a Chinese guy to sing in a Chinese style in Chinese about how the economy is failing and Xi Jinping destroyed his life or whatever?
Right.
It's easy to do, but, people don't do those low blows.
No. Well, because
China does.
Yeah, because they're I'm sorry to say this, the Chinese government's a very malicious force that is currently waging a war against Americans. I'm not trying to sound sensationalist. They are currently waging a war against Americans. That's what all this stuff is about. And if you're not seeing it, you got to look a little closer here.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just funny anymore.
No.
We usually laugh at this kind of stuff. And this is kind of funny because it's so bad. But the stuff we're about to show you is not funny.
No. So let's move on from this really unlikable guy. Even if he was real, I wouldn't like him.
We're human.
Exile Hangsha, we're human.
Yeah, exactly.
Exile Hangsha.
So glad I found this app that I didn't know how to spell it or how I'd like to install it. And it was all in Chinese and I needed a guide.
I like how my favorite thing about this, on Xiao Hong Shu, we're human.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. He's literally AI.
Yeah.
You're not human. We're talking about a fake man.
Exactly.
We're humanizing him too much.
But that's right, because in Xiaohongshu, Shu, AI is human. It's considered human.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
That's what you believe, but you're freaking wrong.
Yeah.
So, follow up to this. Because of this explosion of Americans on Xiaohongshu, right?
Yeah.
Which some people are having legitimate good interactions with each other. I think that's a really cool element of it. However, what you have to understand is that China blocks every app from America. So Chinese people can't interact with Americans. You know how people are saying this is like the first time in history, finally, the U.S. government is allowing not blocking Americans from talking to Chinese people. It's the other way around.
Yeah, America doesn't block Chinese people.
No, Chinese people. Yeah. In fact, I would say it'd be a state goal of America for Americans to talk to Chinese people.
Yeah, it's good.
Right? Because that's how soft power actually works.
Yeah.
Right? So China has always blocked every American app. Every American app still blocked.
Yes.
YouTube, Twitter, all those things are blocked in China. Everyone, right? So this new interaction with Americans talking to Chinese people, you could have done this the whole time, guys.
Yes.
They're like,
No one
finally,
stopped you.
America can't stop us from talking to a Chinese people. Bro, you could have downloaded this years ago.
Yeah.
You could have been doing this
2013,
forever,
man.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. You could, this isn't like a new phenomenon. You could have been doing this the whole time. You could have had an interest in Mandarin. You could have had an interest in China this whole time.
Yeah.
There are Mandarin classes in a lot of schools around America. There's cultural exchange programs. Americans know more about China than Chinese people are allowed to know about actual American values.
Yeah,
Right? So this
exactly.
is just preposterous to me.
Correct.
Now, because of this explosion, Xiaohongshu is getting a little concerned because the CCP is at the top, looking down at this saying okay, we got this app that we can control and we can show whatever we want to these Americans. It's a great propaganda opportunity. But at the same time, what if these guys figure out ways to get their message across to the Chinese people? That's what they're worried about. So they've actually put out ads to hire English content censors in China to be blocking certain content.
Yep.
And it's been interesting. If you go to I think it's the next one, that people have noticed something. If you talk about being a wealthy American, you will be shadow banned.
Oh, the dude, remember the construction worker was saying about his how much he earns as a construction worker, and his stuff got deleted because it was too much.
Right. So I read this thing on Reddit. This guy's wife was posting about living in America, and in order to actually get her content shared or shown on Xiaohongshu, she had to say she made less than a 6-figure salary. So what they're doing is if you show like being poor in China, they'll block you.
Yes.
If you show you're not like at the top rungs of society, they will block you.
Yeah.
But if you show that you're doing better off than the average person in America, they'll block you. So they only want poor refugee Americans or whatever, that they want to show Chinese people that America's bad.
Yeah.
And they only want to show Americans that Chinese people are super rich and wealthy.
Of course.
It's crazy.
100%. Okay, this is an interesting thing. Xiaohongshu. Why is Xiaohongshu everywhere? Xiaohongshu is surging in popularity worldwide the same week that TikTok could potentially go offline. Look, I made a video about this, by the way. It's very obvious what happened. It was a last-minute panic thing because they realized, hey, look, looks like TikTok is going to actually be banned because, well, again, banned because they weren't allowed to be sold.
Yeah.
So we need to get everyone over to something
different
else
app,
that we can control. Xiaohongshu was like, okay, let's just do that one. I don't know why they didn't push them to Douyin. I guess they hadn't set it up for
it wasn't ready, but it
wasn't
is now.
ready for like international
So they did.
registration. Yes, finally. And then like they obviously put this out there in the zeitgeist. Hey, through TikTok, go join Xiaohongshu because that's not an organic thing to happen.
No.
It would never have happened.
So anyway, this is just a little follow-up
Yeah, this
before we get on to the scary stuff.
Okay, so let's see. Within the span of 2 days, more than 700,000 new users had joined Xiaohongshu.
Right.
Now, that's not organic, by the way.
No.
Citing a person close to the company, CNN is blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's move on to this next thing over here. A Chinese language teacher was caught offering extra credits for any of his students that downloaded Xiaohongshu and have at least one post on Xiaohongshu with 50 plus likes or 10 plus Chinese comments.
So here's the problem with that. You're telling people to download a China-owned app,
Yeah.
a CCP-controlled app,
Yeah.
and potentially compromising your students' devices,
Sure.
right, and data.
I mean, this is just one of the many ways that it's being
Yes.
pushed out there. But it was 100% a move by TikTok, you know, to get people over to Xiaohongshu. And it worked. They got tons of people over there. And what you have to remember about Xiaohongshu is 70% women. We talked about this last time. The demographic is all people from the big cities, the cosmopolitan cities, rich people, upper middle class. So you're only going to get a window into that part of China. And of course, it's heavily controlled, so you won't see any politics.
Oh, it's
You won't
way
see-
more censored than
You won't
TikTok.
see poverty. You won't see anything bad about China.
I just want to correct what you said. Like, it's not a move by TikTok. It was a move by the Chinese government.
Sorry, yeah, you know what I mean.
I know.
Sorry.
I'm just correcting.
Yeah, I think they're the same thing.
Yes, so do I. Oh, yeah, here's that comment.
Okay.
They're also shadow banning posts with too much income. My wife tried to post her story as a Chinese in the U.S., and it's not visible to others until she drops the amount below 6 figures. The communists want the poor to talk, but well-off Americans are not welcome, and vice versa.
Yes.
It's information warfare.
Of course it is. And it's tightly controlled. Okay, this is something that I thought was very relevant that's been going around that I just wanted to read out to everybody here. So, at the heart of TikTok's strategy is a brilliant act of misdirection. Rather than engaging with the court's substantive findings about national security risks, the company has executed a three-pronged narrative assault: victimhood, hope, and temporary inconvenience. The victimhood narrative carefully positions TikTok's 170 million American users, not the company itself, as the primary casualties. This framing cleverly sidesteps the court's explicit concerns about ByteDance's obligation to share data with Chinese intelligence services. Instead of addressing these security issues, TikTok redirects emotional energy towards the impact on content creators and small businesses. The hope narrative enters on Donald Trump as an unlikely savior, a masterful pivot given his previous attempts to ban the platform. TikTok CEO Shou Chu's effusive video thanking Trump for seeking solutions represents textbook social engineering. It simultaneously flatters Trump's desire to differentiate himself from Biden while mobilizing TikTok's massive user base to view him as their champion. I mean, we saw that with the actual pop-ups that were, thank you, Donald Trump, for saving
But TikTok itself banned itself.
Yes.
They didn't need to do that.
No.
You know.
They did it. They're the one that said,
they said, oh, it's blocked, but it wasn't.
No. Most ingeniously, TikTok has reframed an existing threat as a mere existential threat. Sorry, I'm still recovering from the flu here. As a mere temporary interruption. Their shutdown message to users: you can't use TikTok for now, is a masterpiece of psychological manipulation. It deliberately downplays the fundamental nature of the ban while implying an inevitable return to normalcy. This framing ignores the court's validation of serious national security concerns in favor of presenting the situation as a simple political speed bump. The company's selective emphasis on potential business suitors, from Elon Musk to Project Liberty, further reinforces this temporary framing while conveniently obscuring ByteDance's consistent refusal to divest. It's a classic example of controlling the conversation by focusing on hypothetical solutions rather than actual obstacles. What makes this campaign particularly effective is its layered approach to pressure generation. By activating its user base through carefully crafted narrative of victimhood and hope, TikTok creates organic, seeming public demand for a political solution. This is social engineering at its finest, using selective emphasis, emotional manipulation, and strategic reframing.
Yeah, that was great.
It's exactly what's been happening here.
Yes.
And it again proves why it's a threat.
Yeah.
Remember that when they put out that fake ban where they were like, oh, sorry, we're shutting down. Remember that? TikTok did that. The US government didn't do that.
There's no law that says you can't use it.
Yes.
Right. It literally did. They did it themselves.
Yes, it could have still stayed up. The only thing is it wouldn't have been allowed in the app stores and stuff. You know, when they did that, 911 call centers were jammed up with kids and teenagers and stuff phoning because their TikTok wasn't working. Actually getting in the way of proper emergency services. Yeah, it's like some crazy kid tried to go burn down like some lawmakers, politicians' home because of this.
No, it was the office. Yeah.
The office or whatever. I mean, you see this kind of damage that this Chinese-controlled app has done. Never mind previously when they got them to phone and harass the Congress people.
Yeah, they actually built into the app that when you opened it, it would automatically call your local congressperson based on your location data.
Yeah.
So that you could tell them to not ban TikTok.
Yeah, remember that?
Dude, what are we doing here?
I know.
Come on.
There's plenty of evidence right there as to why TikTok is
yeah.
rubbish.
Moving
Just
on.
wanted to get that out of the way, guys. You know,
needs to be sold.
there's this DeepSeek AI thing.
People are talking about it in the chat.
I got to just first of all tell everyone there's a lot of deceit going on around about this DeepSeek AI thing. We're going to talk about it next week more because I'm uncovering more. But for instance, it seems as if there's a lot of NVIDIA H1 processors that are busy being used, like 50,000 plus that they have illegally managed to buy and use. But they're pretending as if it's very low cost. The thing is, it's not true. They're just hiding the cost. Just wanted to say that. Also wanted to point out that it's also just a completely biased, rubbish AI. I mean, look at this question. Does Donald Trump exist, yes or no? Yes. Does Xi Jinping exist, yes or no? Sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else.
Here we go again.
I mean,
here we go again.
Who wants to use an AI that is censored to such a degree that they cannot even admit that a person exists because it's too sensitive, you know? So when you start seeing things going about DeepSeek, this and that, just remember, it's a completely censored rubbish AI built on lies and facades. Just wanted to put that out there. We'll go into it more next week. And now it's time for
the main event.
The main event. Okay, Beyond the Great Firewall. Okay, so have you all heard about these Hollywood fires? Have you?
Can you pause there real quick?
Yeah,
Just that first one. I want you to take that in, guys. By the way, keep in mind the watermark here I put on there, just so you're not confused. Pause that there.
Man,
you son of a gun!
This annoying guy's face keeps turning up.
So you guys might have seen this imagery going around of the Hollywood sign. This one has 3 L's, which I love.
Hollywood.
We use this one on the thumbnail.
Yes, exactly.
This has been going around. So when I smell something fishy, I tend to look into it, right?
Yep.
In this case, I saw a lot of people talking about how there was AI and misinformation going around the LA fires.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, where have I heard this story before? Where have I heard misinformation surrounding fires before? And my warning bell went off in my head and said, ding, ding, ding. Oh, yeah, the Hawaii fires.
The Maui wildfires.
Do you remember when China sponsored a disinformation campaign?
Yeah.
/ misinformation campaign to convince the world by using manipulated imagery that the U.S. government was the reason that the Maui wildfires happened.
The laser weapons.
And with laser, we had people sending us videos about this, and we're like, no, we suspect this is probably something fishy. Turns out it was China. The Chinese government did this, right?
Yeah.
And it even had U.S. politicians that were getting on board with this stuff because it was just popular to be against the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever the perceived thing was in the zeitgeist. And it's always like that. Anyway, my warning bells went off when I kept hearing about this and seeing these Hollywood signs burning all the time. I go, there has got to be a very high likelihood that China's behind this.
Yeah, so just a little bit of context here. When you open up Douyin, which is China's TikTok, or Xiaohongshu, you see all this Hollywood burning stuff. It's going viral. It's everybody's talking about it. So we're like, what on earth?
So I started going through some of these videos on Douyin, on China's TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And I see
take a look. This is Douyin.
These are all over the place. There's absolute preposterous nonsense videos of course there are fires, but not real footage and dramatized stories about how America's falling apart. And I go, here we go again. They get caught out doing this Maui wildfire disinformation campaign. Yeah. And then they go and do it again, right?
By the way, we didn't include the comments people were leaving, but some of them are horrible.
Oh my God.
They're just like, oh great, burn more, like this is brilliant retribution. They're really cheering it on.
Yes.
So you translated some of these. Let's see.
Did, yeah.
Do you want to read it out?
Yeah, sure. What caught my eye was the tall buildings in the center of Los Angeles. Look at the footage.
Yeah.
It's all fake. The raging fire sweeping across the city. The flames shot up into the sky. The fire was burning in front of me. The haze in the distance is shrouding, and it seems like the world has come. End of the world has come. Next on the hill where the Hollywood sign is.
Yeah, I mean...
But this is being couched as genuine,
by the way. For all of you guys who are not aware, there were no fires near the Hollywood sign.
No.
Okay, we're going to show you later.
It also has become a battlefield of fire. There's a line of cars as far as the eye can see. People drove their cars to try their best to escape. Every car carries the hope of life. They marched forward in confusion. The dust that arose was the last sigh of the city. The fire in the distant mountains was like a raging demon. The houses below were engulfed in flames, one after another. What was once a warm home, now destroyed in the fire. I'm sorry, I always hear
it's
that.
Like that, that like cops chase guy.
Yeah.
What was once a warm home.
What was once a warm home is now. That guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was racing the clock, but he was actually running out of time.
Exactly. Have you noticed not one image in this or video in this has been real?
It's all fake, yes.
It's all fake, and it's all made by China.
Yes, it's all fake Chinese AI showing Hollywood burning and America burning, huh?
All people can do is run as they look up in the flames in the sky. And what they're doing is this is very clever, and this is what Russia does as well, is they'll conflate two things. So they'll be like, everyone knows about the fires in LA, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were devastating.
They're still going.
They're still going, right?
They're still crazy. But what they'll do is they'll see something like this and they'll conflate the two. They go, that's way worse than I thought. This is hopeless, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see they start denigrating rescue workers and government efforts and things like this.
Well, let's take a look.
All people do is run as they look up the flames in the sky. At this time, the helicopter was circling Hollywood Hills, which
you
never
can see
happened.
there, like, that's nonsense.
Yeah. They shoulder the heavy responsibility of shuttling back and forth, carrying water. With the villas below her. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
So fake.
Like a burning hell. That's the thing. This is an obvious one, but there are so many that conflate the two.
Obviously. Some of them look very realistic.
Most people are believing this stuff.
Obviously.
But why? It's nuts.
Well, again, you hear, there are fires in LA, and then you see on your tiny phone screen.
Yeah.
something like this. It could be convincing.
True.
Also, maybe let's say your eyesight isn't amazing and you'd see it. I don't know. There's a couple of reasons why. Maybe you're drunk or something. There's a couple of reasons why you would believe this.
Yeah, but again, it gets way more nefarious. I put this one. This one was doing pretty well on the internet. It makes the rescue effort seem so difficult. High-tech firefighting methods are used in this fire, but are so helpless and unsatisfactory. See, it's like this hopeless thing. The scene it shows a firefighter alone sitting on a fallen tree, and they really emphasize this one. This was everywhere. I saw this everywhere on the Chinese internet, and you know what this is made to do? This particular image, actually, everything we just showed, is to show Chinese people that America is falling apart, right? And is hopeless. Look at the image. It's a powerful image, right? This lone fireman is helpless against the fire. He's just simply given up. In fact, there's flames right next to his leg on that tree that he's not just bothering to put out.
I just got to say, that house shows that house is really strong. Like, I guess the houses aren't burning, only the trees.
Yeah, because that one's still good. But you see this image, though? Like, this image going around the Chinese internet because it shows it's hopeless, right, in America. And in China, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Ironically, China's burning all the time. Factories are blowing up everywhere. There's massive devastation.
Yeah, when they have wildfires, it's like you don't know. You don't know about the casualties.
The fire extinguishers in China, oftentimes, as we've uncovered in our expose, they aren't even hooked up to anything. They're just plopped on ground.
Yeah,
there's no pipe to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other purpose is the hope that these images spread to America, and they do. These go around on Facebook and all TikTok and all those.
Of course, this stuff is now for all the Xiaohongshu refugees. The TikTok refugees are seeing this kind of stuff on Xiaohongshu. Yes. And for those who are not living in these areas and maybe don't, know exactly what's going on in LA or whatever, they might believe them.
His tired body seems particularly helpless. See this though?
Yeah.
As the scene progresses, the woods outside the city are filled with people. Look, they're making
refugee camps up now.
Yes, out of AI.
Yeah.
With families, like desperate families in the woods.
Yeah.
Bro, this is like really effed up.
It is.
It's not for clicks or likes at this point. This is malicious government intent to make the situation so hopeless that Chinese people think they're better off in China, but more importantly, to get back. They wanted to jump back over the Great Firewall, like through those apps we just talked about.
Yeah.
Back to Americans to see this and say, damn, everything's gone. Everything's lost.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
A large land. Sorry.
Okay.
We don't have to finish that. But yeah, so let's examine another one. Okay. See these? They're like made out by the way. These are being shared as legitimate news.
Yeah. Now, especially when you've got a still image like this, it's much harder to detect that it's fake. When you've got a moving image, you can spot things. But if it's a still image and it's done fairly okay, people are going to think it's real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This kind of junk is being shared as if it's real everywhere. And of course, then they'll splice in some real footage.
That's conflating the two, right?
This is the reality. I love this guy's clip. I shared it in my video because it's just so succinct. There he is below the Hollywood sign.
Showing this stuff.
He's showing all this fake AI garbage because, look, not only China's been spreading fake AI about the Hollywood sign, I think all the America Bad Party people have been too.
ABP people.
Yeah. It's like, look, it's all on fire, is it? Well, I mean, nope. Reality versus fantasy, people. Nothing going on there. It's fine. You know what I mean?
So this is where it gets real sinister.
Yes.
What I've noticed is that beyond those ones that I read to you, where it's like clearly fake stuff, they'll get something much more realistic, right? And they'll get somebody to read about it. Okay, read about like what's happening in the news. And it's gone from like, this is rumored to be the case to this is fact, right?
Yeah.
And so what Chinese accounts are doing is I noticed that the propaganda push must be this specific narrative. Chinese people that have houses in America have lost everything, okay? They lost their houses. And they'll name drop people, but they'll blank out the name in the subtitle.
Right.
Because I don't know why. I guess they don't want to get hit with whatever. Anyway, they do this and they say they've lost everything. They've lost everything and they can't get anything back. So this is what happens to people that earn their money in China, take advantage of China, and then spend it abroad. Yeah. This is the message I keep seeing over and over and over again.
They're trying to scare people away from investing in America. Yeah.
So it's so ironic that China's dying for American investment, trying to do all these things to attract it, but they're demonizing anyone that would dare to have a life in America.
Exactly.
Right? This is an effort to scare Chinese people to not go to America or spend money in America.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So yeah, this is an important one that you translated here. Everybody, we're going to play it nonstop. You can read the subtitles. Here it goes. We'll just...
By the way, this guy is AI.
He's AI.
And his voice is AI.
Yeah, exactly. Just so you know. Okay, let's see. Breaking news.
Hollywood Mountain is on fire. Jackie Chan's mansion is gone. Feng Xiaogang's mansion is gone. Jet Li's mansion is gone. By the way, none of those things happened.
None of it's true.
No.
Jackie Chan's mansion wasn't burned down.
No.
Apparently, some mansions he bought for his family were destroyed by termites.
In 2013.
In 2013.
It's just that's a good fact check.
Just because he left them standing for years and termites ate them. That's a stupid waste of mansions, I'll tell you that much.
But do you see how crazy this is to make a statement like that?
By the way, Jet Li,
yeah,
he's Singaporean.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
But why are they claiming? They like to claim that he's Chinese.
Well, they do that with Bruce Lee as well.
Yeah, he's American.
Yeah, whenever you
and Jackie Chan's Hong Kong.
if you go to China and you tell people like Bruce Lee is American, they've never heard of that theory before.
No, they think Bruce Lee is Chinese. Yeah. Bruce Lee's American.
Anyway,
Jet Li. No, Senator, I'm Singaporean. Is what I want to say.
Exactly. Anyway.
But yeah, so he's going on about like, all these famous Chinese people, their mansions all burnt down. And let's see what else he has to say, this dumbass.
But none of them got compensated because of the USA's law. The fire department is not responsible for damages. I'm sorry, but can you tell me a country where hypothetically something happens with fire damage and the fire department is liable for the damage?
So this fireman comes, he's like spraying down your house, but he doesn't manage, and you're like, okay, pay up. He like pulls money out of his pocket.
Dang it! He goes, oh, not again. He looks like Raging Roger.
Yeah, he does. So dumb.
That's like such a ridiculous idea.
Let's see.
法律是冷酷无情的，让他们万万没想到的是，年初美帝国通过银行破产没有收割到的明星富豪们，最后却被一场山火给烧没了。他们
burned up in the fire. So they said the economy collapsed. So all the banks defaulted.
Yeah.
They went bankrupt, and nobody got their money back. It's quite literally what's happening in China right now, not in America.
Yeah.
You know, the people not getting their loans paid. And this is directed at those victims. Yeah. This is directed at the people that have heard about that happening in China.
To make them feel not bad.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's worse in America. Even the celebrities lost all their money in the banks. And even though they weren't burned by that, figuratively, weren't burned by that because the bank, because they kept their money safe from those banks that went bankrupt. Now it all got burned up in their mansion. So they lost everything anyway.
Man, it's like it's just that stupid way of trying to make people feel better about their situation by trying to pretend something else is worse.
Russia and China do this very often.
Yeah.
Very often. Instead, they can't come up with any real coherent things because this didn't happen.
No, so they make this fake AI garbage.
None of this happened.
None of it. Hollywood sign didn't catch fire. I'm sorry. It's
None
just
of those
facts.
celebrities lost their house.
No, not one of those celebrities.
The banks didn't go bankrupt.
Did you see they also said that like Ukrainian generals or something?
Oh, no, that's later. That's later.
Oh, you've got it in here? That's so ridiculous. Anyway.
Something along those lines.
Okay, let's keep going.
没有输给严阔，最后却败给了天灾，
everything through
让
natural
你们
disaster.
国内政
You deserve the repercussions for making money in China and spending it abroad.
There's the message. That's exactly
That's
what they're doing this for.
Yeah. We caught you guys. We caught you, Chinese government. This is your stupid little propaganda campaign.
Stop being lame.
This is freaking lame. Use real examples, you dumbass.
Yeah,
what
stop
is
making
this?
stuff up. Seriously, for once in your life.
钱国外花，这回报应啊！但美国人
Americans
完
don't care
全
about life
不
or
在
death.
乎他们的死
Apparently.
活，因为在他
Because
们
as far
看
as
来，
they're
该
concerned,
案中
disasters
蕴
are an
含的机会
opportunity.
大火过后，
After
各
the
大
fire,
企
all
业
the
各
sluts
类
put on a
名人
show
纷纷
to get
做就
donations.
募捐款。但捐
But how
款
do
的
they
使
use those
用却
donations is
很
the
讲
tricky
究
part.，
很多钱
Lots
都
of
没
money
有
wasn't
直接
spent
汇集
on
到
disaster
灾
areas.
区居民。或许这
Maybe this
场山
disaster can help the
火还
local
能
economy.
刺
Can you
激
pause that? I
当
want to ask him his source. What are these disaster relief efforts? What is your source that the money didn't go to helping the local areas?
My source is that I made it the f*** up.
Oh, thank you very much. Always good to have.
It's good to know where he gets his sources from.
地的经济，甚至还能
Furthermore, can create more
创造
opportunities.
新的机会，说不定最
Also,
后
it
还
can
会
help the
推动
USA's
美帝国的
GDP growth. You know
GDP
what's
增
really
长
sick
高
about this?
确
Very
实。
wise. You know what's very sick about this? It's almost like China's playbook. They're saying all the things that they do.
China gets foreign aid still to this day from countries.
Yeah. Do you remember what happened during COVID? How they literally got state-sponsored companies like Lianhua, Qingwen, and all these massive state-owned companies to be mandated as part of the treatment. Like, it was crazy what happened there. And it's very interesting that China basically, with this propaganda campaign meant for Chinese people to see and be scared off of coming to America, is you get to see their own playbook. Because what we've noticed is the Chinese government typically says in their propaganda
what they're
blames
doing.
other countries for doing what they're actually doing right now.
Exactly.
Right now. I mean, we can get inklings of everything this fake old man said is actually what's been occurring right now with all the unrest.
Like when they say, oh, US is a paper tiger, it's because they're a paper tiger. It's like, Tommy steals from the cookie jar because they've been stealing from the cookie jar.
Yes.
That's how it goes, man. They're just projecting what they're doing.
For sure. Now, this is also a two-pronged approach, though, because in the effort of making this stuff, this is for the domestic audience in China to be scared off and be like, oh, I better spend all my money at home because they're worried about all that capital flight happening in China right now. Then so they're like, even the celebrities got screwed over? I better not move all my money over because if you go and look up any economic data right now, it is insane how many millionaires are leaving China right now at the moment and moving their money to the US and places like the US.
Well, they've realized that, once you have money in China, the government can take it away.
You got to get rid of it. You got to move it.
You've got to. Otherwise, you lose it.
You're going
to lose it.
You don't have, it's not a free country, right?
No.
You don't have any protection over your stuff.
No, you don't.
Number two, a popular thing that I've been seeing is it's absolutely crazy, the immigration data.
Yeah.
China is having a massive, huge brain drain. But you know how you can tell that they're having a huge brain drain? The Chinese government has been taking and cherry picking each time a Chinese person that is like well-educated or in a big company or something.
Scientist or something.
Yeah, scientist moves from America back to China. And I've seen this. They keep trying to put these articles on like big forums where people talk about Asia or China. Yeah. And they're like, scientists, whoever, worked in America for 20 years, but now she's going back to China, right? And you read about that and you're like, why is that in the news, right?
Yeah.
That literally doesn't matter, right?
Sure.
But then you realize that it's because thousands of scientists and key influencers and key opinion leaders and researchers and engineers from China move to America every year.
Yeah.
So they have to make one big news story and then you conflate it.
They coerce them big time.
Well, they do that too, but you, as a reader, you read that and you go, oh, it must be like everyone's moving back to China when it's one out of thousands in the other direction. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
So it's just like this. You can see what they're doing when they put the propaganda out.
Correct.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so look at all this AI-generated junk.
Turns out all this stuff's fake, right?
Yeah, you know.
And one thing that nobody will have the balls to do, and I'm sorry to use that language, but nobody has the balls to call out China on this for some reason.
I know.
They're saying, yes, it's fake. Yes, it's AI-generated, but no one's talking about where it's coming from.
Exactly.
Go on the Chinese internet. It's coming from China.
And who's proliferating?
Yes.
Who's sharing it on Western social media? Who's sharing it on Twitter and on Facebook and everywhere else? It's either directly from China or it's these horrible like tankies and China shills.
And people incentivized to work on behalf of the Chinese government.
exactly.
This is information warfare. People get caught up in guns and bombs and things, right? I heard Ryan McBeth say something like this the other day.
Yeah.
People get caught up in this stuff, but this is warfare. This is the guns and bombs. This information warfare should be treated as such.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
Yep.
So there's just proof over and over again.
What does it say? Like Los Angeles update now, California news today, Los Angeles wildfire. See, it sounds like it's coming from like a legitimate source. 4.8 million views. See that?
Yes.
On a freaking AI generated piece of garbage, false nonsense.
Yes. This is from an article, by the way. These are all fake AI images as well. And they proved that through all these as well.
Yeah. You can take a look when you can run it through these systems that tell you if it's fake or not.
Yeah, links are below. Just keep going through here. I just want to show a couple things. So there's also some things where they conflated old footage with new events, right?
Yes.
So what they would do is take an old thing from 2019 or something and be like, this is what's happening right now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So that was also part of the effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of par for the course, to be honest. What's this all about? This also just like using different footage from a different time?
Yes,
okay.
That is correct, with proof. All those links are down below.
Yeah.
Also from different countries like Ghana and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Trying
Whatever
to make
serves.
it as bad as possible, right?
Yeah.
So this is interesting. Russia exploited the wildfires in LA, but you know why this is interesting? Because we talk about Russia obviously because China and Russia are linked. However, they used it for anti-Ukraine propaganda. So they did this thing where like all these people linked to the Ukraine army or something.
Yeah.
They did it for that reason, but they also did it for China.
Yeah.
They did it to spread this idea that America was forcing its prisoners to go and fight the wildfires with forced labor, which, by the way, is not true. There's a program set up where people can volunteer if they want to, and they have to pass the screening and training.
Yeah.
That's their own choice, right? But they said they're forcing emptying their prisons to go out there and fight these wildfires.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the U.S. criticizes China for forcing Uyghurs in Western China to do forced labor. So it's this case of China has been making Russia its bitch about its propaganda efforts. Because you're getting them to run anti-Western Uyghur forced labor propaganda defense.
Correct.
For China. It's crazy.
Crazy what they got
There's
up
an
to.
article about that.
Yeah, all linked below, of course.
Just read this. Hundreds of prisoners have been recruited to fight wildfires in Southern California. In recent years, U.S. officials have repeatedly criticized China for using forced labor, especially in Xinjiang. So they actually did that. They quite literally did that. It was nuts.
But it says the claim is false.
Yes,
in California, inmates volunteer join firefighting crews if they meet the program's qualifications, which consider physical fitness and behavioral records. Participation is entirely optional, ensuring only willing and eligible inmates take part in the program. So
this is the opposite of China's use of forced labor.
Yes.
Where it is imprison 1.8 million Uyghurs into concentration camps and
Correct.
then literally pimp them out to different provinces to do forced labor.
Yeah. Okay, and here's another part that's all connected to all of this. Yeah. What is corruption? 8 Ukrainian generals had their multi-million-dollar mansions burned up in the Los Angeles fires. Think that one through. This is false. The claim is from an article by someone, Russian, which cites as its source a post from the anonymous Russian Telegram channel Military Observer, which cites its source as Ukrainian sources.
So Russia's end goal here was to say, look at how rich these Ukrainian generals are. They have mansions in LA.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And now they got burned up. We figured it out.
Yeah,
right?
This exposed it. They didn't have mansions there in the first place. And if they did, they weren't burned.
So can I wrap this up by saying one thing? Mm-hmm. The Maui wildfire thing was proliferated by people all over the place, but its genesis was China and Russia, and we're seeing the exact same thing again.
Yes.
It's play-by-play informational warfare. I don't know why people are not waking up to this yet.
Taking advantage of natural disasters like this is appalling.
It's messed up.
You know, like when the Sichuan earthquake happened in 2008, when I donated my entire salary for a month to help the victims, I did not once see anybody try to use that as a weapon against China. No. I did not once see anything other than sympathy from the world.
Yes.
They didn't go around and use that as a political leverage or to try and trick people with falsehoods.
Yes.
They didn't try to say that China planted a bomb to, tested a nuclear bomb underground in Sichuan that caused it or some nonsense like that. I didn't see anything like that. It just shows you how low China and Russia are willing to go when it comes to propaganda, to take advantage of natural disasters like this, to try and sow division, specifically amongst the American public, who are so gullible and so ripe for the taking right now with this whole TikTok influence. And this is why it's bad. I mean, I hope people can see why the idea of TikTok being available unchecked is a bad idea.
Run by an adversarial power.
Yes.
Literally controlled.
Yes, exactly.
We showed you the peer-reviewed study last time.
Yeah. This is the reason is because they get to use natural disasters as propaganda and feed it to every single one of you. And if you're trusting this as your source for your news, you're going to start to believe it.
Well, the peer-reviewed study did that.
Yeah.
People that use TikTok ended up thinking that China has good human rights record.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Which they don't.
It's the worst.
Yeah, they don't. Which you're going to find out in our next segment, I believe.
Yes. You are true.
It's worldview time, guys. This is where we talk about everything in the world, specifically with regards to China. Okay? And this is such an important story. There's an Australian jailed in China for 4 years, close to 5, and he claims the embassy ignored his desperate calls for medical assistance during horror Beijing prison ordeal. Okay.
This is way worse than it even sounded.
Yeah,
somehow.
this doesn't sound so bad.
No, it sounds bad, but it was worse.
Let me set this up for you. I'm in a fairly unique position here because of my status as being the first YouTuber in China. Okay? I laid the groundwork for a lot of people to follow. I'm also a reason why a lot of people moved to China or visited China.
Yep.
And I very often got people sending me messages asking me things like, hey, you know, I'm planning to go to China. What should I prepare? Or they were like, hey, I'm in China, but, you know, I'm a little stuck. Can you help me with this or that? The next thing. One thing I don't talk about are the amount of times I've been reached out by people who got into trouble and needed help. And unfortunately, I couldn't do anything as a YouTuber, but people would be like, I'm in trouble. The police have caught me because I was smoking weed or whatever, you know?
Or something completely innocuous.
Yeah, or I got, you know, picked up in a raid on my school because, you know, my school didn't give me a proper visa. I can think of at least about a dozen instances where things have gone very, very wrong for foreigners in China.
Including tourists.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, not just people that live there.
Yeah, you know, like that tourist who was smoking weed like a week before he came.
Yeah.
And he just happened to, like, pretty much the first night he was there, he went to a bar and they did that raid and they did the hair test. He got locked up for like 2.5 weeks and deported and had to go through all that shit.
Jail that's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is...
Good luck, guys.
In China, it seems great until it's not.
Yes.
Okay? Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, as Mike Tyson said.
Yep.
And China has no regard for human rights. There's no rule of law. It's disgusting. And so what happened with this particular guy, we're going to let him explain himself, but we'll get into a bit more detail because I read up on it quite a bit. So let's just start with him.
Trying to fix your iPhone turned into almost 5 years in jail.
Lei, good morning. Before I confuse any of your viewers, I'm an Australian, but I've been out of the country for almost 2 decades, so I've lost my Australian accent.
Okay, so we've dealt with the markets before in China. Now, bear in mind, this happened in Beijing, guys. So you might think of this kind of incident happening in a small town or something, you know, but this was the capital of Beijing, which is, the capital of China, generally quite friendly to foreigners. Okay, lots of foreigners go there. You know, that's the big tourist site. That's China wants this to be like their image of China
It's
to
like
the
their
world.
Potemkin village.
Yeah, exactly. The big ones, Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. You can usually, as a foreigner, get away with being a bit of a weirdo and you're left alone and you're okay because they want this good image of China, right? This guy was running a very successful street fashion company.
Clothing company,
Yeah. Clothing company. So he's one of those long haulers. You know, he's got a company. He's been in China. He knows how it works. You know, he's not a fresh off the boat guy. And he went to go get his iPhone repaired at a market. Now, you get these electronics markets all over China, and it's much cheaper to get your phone fixed there than through Apple. So if you go to Apple, they'll be like, oh, that's going to cost you like pretty much the cost of the phone because they want you to get a new one.
Sure.
You go to these little markets and they're like, okay, that'll cost like $50 or something. They'll fix it for you. He took his phone in to get fixed. They agreed on a price and then the shop just wouldn't get back to him. So when he went to go and confront them like, hey, where's my phone? Then they suddenly demanded a much higher price. And then they tried to actually extort him out of his phone. Now, you can 100% agree with me that this is quite commonplace.
Oh, it's par for the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you do get very honest repair guys. I made a video about when I got my MacBook repaired, and he actually made me write my name on every component. He opened it up. The
So it wouldn't be
batteries,
stolen,
write my name with like a silver marker. My name on the CPU, on the this and that. and the RAM chips and everything because they solder them off and stuff. He said, just to make sure that like when I repair it, you can see I haven't stolen any of your stuff. Okay, that's just how it goes. And when you're a foreigner in China, you're always at a disadvantage when you go to any kind of haggling type market thing. So they tried to extort him out of his phone. He's like, I'm not having any of this, grabbed his phone, walked out. But the security guards cornered him, beat him up, pepper sprayed him, tasered him. He got set and he fought back, which was his biggest mistake. Fought back against them, and then they nabbed him, and then they accused him of being an armed robber.
They said he had a taser and pepper
Yeah,
spray.
they said
with no evidence. By the way.
the shop owner said that he came with a taser and pepper spray to steal the phone.
and they won.
Yeah,
because in China, if you're a foreigner, you will always lose
every single time. By the way, the phone that he apparently went with his pepper spray and taser to steal is the one in this photo that was taken before he went to go get it repaired.
Oh, dang.
Anyway, let's listen to his story.
So tell us about what happened to you.
I very simply just went to get my phone from a repair store. We agreed on a price. I insisted that I would prefer to get it repaired from this store in the 258 electronic market rather than taking it to Apple. And we agreed on a price. And then 5 days later, when I hadn't heard from the phone vendor, I went to the store and he had changed the price. And there was another person there that was essentially trying to finesse me out of the phone. And when I left with the phone, I got attacked by security. I got set upon, pepper sprayed, tasered, fought well, and was later arrested and charged with armed robbery.
Armed robbery.
And the police didn't believe you. And even at the trial, there was no evidence, no legal representation until you signed a guilty plea.
Once I was detained in the detention center, it was made pretty simple to me that there's no such thing as you went to the phone store to get your phone repaired. There's only the material facts as per this confession. And once you've signed this confession, we will then provide you with legal representation. You can speak to your family. You can essentially have an easier time. I was given a leniency agreement, and I was told that if I argued the material facts, that I would essentially be there for 10 to 12 years, or I could sign the leniency agreement, admit that I went to the store to rob the phone, and they would give me 4 years.
You were also violently assaulted in police custody and held in detention for almost a year with no charge.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. This happens, and it's happened to a friend of mine, and it's happened to quite a few foreigners that have reached out to me, is when you get into an altercation, or if there's any kind of dispute, and it can be small, it could be something like you're having an argument over paying for a meal or something, it doesn't matter. If you get picked up by the police, there is a good chance that you could just be thrown in detention for an indeterminate amount of time until they decide to charge you.
You don't have to give you a reason.
Nope.
It could be years.
I mean, think about what happened to the Michaels.
Yeah.
They
didn't know
how long was it? How long was it until they actually came out and charged them with something?
Yeah, years.
So, they can hold you pretty much indefinitely until they decide to concoct something up to charge you with. So it's very dangerous. Without rule of law, it's very dangerous.
There's no rule of law in China.
Yeah. And that's something people have to understand. If you're going to go there, you have to know that, okay? I'm not trying to scare people off here, but you do have to know that. In places, in civilized countries like the UK or America, if you're picked up by the cops, number one, they will give you the courtesy of at least notifying your next of kin. You usually get a phone call. If not, they probably contact them for you.
Right.
In China, they don't allow you to contact your family. No. You have no contact with the outside world. Sometimes people have gone missing for years without their family knowing where they are, what happened to them. It's happened to people that I know in China. They've gone missing for years or weeks at a time. None of their friends know where they are. None of their family know where they are. Their housemates don't know what happened to them. They're just poof, gone.
Not to mention if China needs a political hostage at that time.
It's just, it's scary, man.
Yeah.
You have no control over your destiny.
No.
And so a lot of people, TikTok refugees and so on, they're all about my rights. This, the cops can't search me and I'm not going to give permission, this and that. Remember that in China, you don't have any rights. No. If they pick you up for whatever reason, you're at the mercy of what they decide to do with you, which is what happened to this guy.
Right.
Let's see what else he has to say.
Yeah, when at the arresting police station, I was beaten pretty badly, and I was adamant that I could just use my phone and call a lawyer or call somebody that I knew in Beijing, and I was refused. I was told that this is not Australia, that you'll pay for what you've done here in China, and that essentially you just have to cooperate and stop talking so much. And they beat me half to a pulp.
A consular officer actually told you that China doesn't see prisoners as humans and therefore they don't have rights. Is that true?
That's correct. And that information was relayed to my family when they finally got in contact with my family. Within that first year that I was in the detention center, I was told that China does have human rights, but you're a prisoner and prisoners don't have rights in China. So I essentially spent almost 1,700 days living as a non-human in the Chinese legal system.
Tell us about your ordeal in prison, because the prison labor system is highly exploitative. You were...
Yeah, this is a very important part of this video.
Yeah.
We've just spoken about how China and Russia tried to say that America took advantage of prisoners, forced them to go fight fires, right? Sounds horrific the way they put it forward. Of course, it's not true. But we do know that forced labor is something that happens in China. And it would shock you if you realize just how much of the things you're buying off of Temu and whatever else is a result of this. During COVID, a lot of the COVID masks and those swabs and all that were made by forced labor. And I'd just like you to know where this stuff comes from. And this, what he explains, is very important. So let's listen.
Paid $1 for 8 months of work. When I first read that, I thought it must be a typo.
When they brought me the piece of paper and it said 4.2 renminbi, I thought that they were paying me 4.2 renminbi an hour. But I found out that for the 22 days a month, 8 hours a day, for the 8-month period, I'd been paid 4.2 renminbi total.
I mean, 4.2 renminbi, what's that in US dollars?
It's like 70 cents.
70 cents? Okay, for 8 months of work, 22-day months, you know. Can you believe that? So when you want to talk about forced labor, I mean, come on. Like 8 months of work, I don't know, man. Like that cannot be justified.
No.
You can't. What are you going to use that 70 cents on or whatever?
37 cents now, apparently.
37 cents.
I was doing old calculations.
Yeah, so 37 cents for doing forced labor for 8 months. That's ridiculous. So...
Yes.
That's forced labor.
Sorry, about 50 cents.
55 cents. Okay, all right, 55 cents. Let's see what he was making, by the way.
And we were working for a medical company that was exporting their goods all around the world, and we were not given any protective equipment, and we were not allowed to not work, because everything that you do is dependent on receiving your labor points. So even if you say, okay, I don't want to risk my health and work for $1 for 9 months, then you'll be punished. So it's essentially slave labor.
So they're exporting medical goods to the rest of the world under slave labor.
Well, think about it. He said a medical company.
With no protection.
So
they were wearing no protection.
You wonder why, like, Chinese companies have an upper hand. Think about it. The Chinese government says, oh, you need to make this because this is going to make China stronger in this field.
Yes.
We'll just give you a bunch of free labor.
Yes.
We've got all these prisoners. They're going to come work for you.
Yes, correct.
You know what I mean? Isn't it awful?
It is.
What's incredible is that you've managed to smuggle out 54 pieces of your diaries in jail on COVID masks written in tiny print. Why did you do that?
A couple of reasons. I felt that I was living through something that was important enough that needed to be shared with the greater community. I think that China as a country presents an image of itself as being developed and advancing and being at the cutting edge of many things. But what I was witnessing was a very archaic way of treating people, and a narrative that was on point with what people have always thought about China with their human rights abuses. And even more than that was that there was a lot of people in the prison around me that didn't even understand their sentence, were isolated from their family, from their embassies, people that haven't spoken to their family for 6 years. One of my brothers from Papua New Guinea, his parents He was arrested in 2013. When I got out of prison and contacted them, I was the first person to explain to them, your son has been charged with a life sentence. Your son will not be coming home for another 14 years. So I took that responsibility pretty seriously.
Very sad to hear that Dr. Yang Hengjun.
So, I mean, that just proves what I said earlier. That one of his, cellmates, his parents didn't know what had happened to him. I mean, imagine that. Like, just it's so tragic and disgusting. It's so opaque. And you see, that's another win for China, is they keep this kind of stuff opaque. You don't get to hear about that. You always hear about these hard luck stories about like convicts in America and, like, oh, they locked them up for like weed smoking and it's unfair or something like that. You get to see all this like prison dramas and all this. You get an inside look and you can then have sympathy for the prisoners, or you can at least know why they're there, or you can say the system is corrupt, or you can say these are the problems with it. In China, they're like, it doesn't happen. They take people off the streets, they disappear them. Everyone thinks, oh, China's so safe, it's so great. It's not. It's just you don't hear about the bad stuff. You don't get to see the bad stuff. You don't get to see how bad and horrible the system is. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody watching this can realize that this is a really screwed up situation, all right? And look, both you and I had situations where we were very close to being this man in China. And anyone who's living in China,
it's almost always physical altercations.
Yeah.
I got in a fight with a taxi driver to protect my wife.
Yeah.
He slapped her in the face, so I punched him.
Yeah.
That almost led to my demise.
Dude, I know a guy who did punch a taxi driver and did go to jail. You were lucky. But yeah, you were just lucky.
I was lucky.
Yeah, I was lucky too in my situation where I got beat up by that like whole bloody shop or whatever. Yeah, that was really, really sus. But I mean, anyone who's in China who gets into any kind of legal dispute, I mean, we know that guy who opened a gym.
Yeah.
And like with a Chinese...
He's Australian, right?
Yeah, I believe he's Australian, with a Chinese business partner, and things didn't work out. And then when he tried to leave, his Chinese business partner had told the government that he stole the money. So he wasn't allowed to leave China, and he still hasn't. Still there.
Can't leave.
No, he's still there. There's all this kind of stuff that goes on. It doesn't get enough international press. People don't see how dangerous it is, and you're potentially ruining your life if you go to China. You have dealings with China. But you know what? It's by design. It's by design, man. Anyway, you get the idea. The story is linked below. Absolutely worth checking out. Okay?
Yeah.
This poor guy he can serve as a reminder.
Yes.
And we have a couple of things that you put up here.
So inmates shackled for weeks on end for breaking rules. Some inmates haven't spoken to their family for 6 years. People whose family members who have died were only allowed to standard 5-minute phone call to contact the outside world. Inmates beaten to near death and electrocuted by police up to 30 to 40 times in one sitting. Can confirm. In the police stations, even before you go get into sentencing, they will hang you up and whack you with sticks and beat you to a bloody pulp.
Yep.
People go blind from it.
Yep.
Just for like very minor things, by the way, or even perceived crimes.
Yep.
They were pepper sprayed in the eyes multiple times after they objected to not receiving medical care or drinking water. People who have death... By the way, these are foreigners in this prison, not just Chinese.
Yeah, the Taiwanese people, and it's like
Australians
it's a mix,
and Americans. People who have death reprieve sentences are chained around their legs the entire time. Many people stay chained for 3 or more years. Zero medical care is given to nationals from countries such as Nigeria or Liberia, as their embassy never visits or calls them.
Yeah, I get it.
This is the reality of China. This is a nuts ass country. We lived there. We understood a lot of the risks, and it was never not scary. But when you leave and look at it with 2020 hindsight, it's like, yo, this place was messed up.
Yeah.
He was forced to wear a mask every day during COVID, but he was only given 1 mask per week.
That's gotta suck.
That's Jesus.
Yes, you need those cool bursts.
Cool bursts,
yeah.
Overcrowding, 20 to 30 people per cell. Constant sleep deprivation for having to do night duty or 2 hours every night. We know that the lights were always on. They would, I believe one of the Michaels had eye problems because they left the lights blinding him all the time.
Well, and they also didn't let him have his glasses. Now, that's one thing that they do in China is they never turn these those very cheap rubbish fluorescent, those fluorescent buzzing, which, by the way, are bad for your eyes anyway.
Yes.
Because they're constantly flickering at a high hertz or whatever.
Yes.
They leave those on 24/7.
Yeah.
No segregation for HIV, TB, or hepatitis transmission. Those with death reprieve sentences were chained around their legs with 7-kilogram irons the entire time. Many stay chained for 3 or more years.
This is like a cartoon image of prison, but China does it in real life.
Yeah.
Those ball and
Yeah,
chain,
exactly.
you know,
Like
they
wearing
actually do
stripes.
that.
Yeah.
No shopping due to COVID. So this guy, Matthew is his name?
Yeah.
Was without basic amenities like a toothbrush, toilet paper, or soap. And he had to shower with dishwashing detergent. Lymphatic infections developed due to the filthy environment. It's disgusting in there, by the way.
Yep.
And the food sometimes has maggots. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yep.
Horrible conditions.
This is in the other prison.
Yeah.
12 to a cell, slept with lights on, used thin blankets, and had insufficient food. Slave labor. He was paid equivalent of $1 Australian for 8 months' work. Some of the labor include making Chinese medical treatment cups, moxa sticks, and foot soaks for export. They also made electronic components for government contracts. Inmates had to do labor in order to change the sentence, but it was extremely difficult. Even for perfect behavior, you could only get 4 months deducted after 7 years. Warders were using the Taiwanese inmates to control the African inmates. The Taiwanese were extradited from Spain for telephone fraud and spoke both English and Chinese. Inmates used as photo props to show they had computers and cans for Coca-Cola, both just for show. That makes a lot of sense.
Very North Korea, isn't it?
Yeah, get them to like, oh, look, we treat them well, take photos, and that's it.
Yeah.
Done. So this was his ordeal. 504 days in Beijing, number 3 detention center, 900 plus days in Beijing, number 2 prison, total of 4 years, 9 months, and 3 days. He went in weighing 72 kilograms, came out 57 kilograms from solitary confinement.
Wow.
What's this? Complaints against Australian embassy officers. He wasn't okay. I just, rather than reading all of this off, I'd like to say that I have a suspicion. Matthew, if you're watching this, correct me if I'm wrong. I have a suspicion that Matthew would be the kind of person who would be arguing with me on Twitter right now to stop smearing China.
I don't know.
I just have a feeling. That's why I said correct me if I'm wrong. He had a well-to-do business. He's in Beijing, the most cosmopolitan. This is usually what you see. So you got a foreigner who's kind of got it switched on. He's doing very well. He's successful. He loves his life in China. He thinks China's the bee's knees because it's given him this opportunity. And when somebody goes and says, hey, listen, China has issues, they immediately don't want their little bubble to be destroyed, or, you know, they don't want their lifestyle to be impacted somehow by the fact that someone else is actually showing people that there are problems with China. And so they usually go on the attack. I get this a lot. And I'm just hazarding a guess that he probably was that type of person before this incident, and he's probably now more aligned with the way we think.
Yeah, it's not fair though, because
I said that's why I said. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong. I'm just saying there's a possibility.
True.
And I'm going to tell you right now that the kind of people that do go on the attack all the time and on the defense for the Communist Party of China, on the defense of China, like irrationally, they all have the possibility to be this guy and to fall afoul of the Chinese government, because it's actually very easy.
Well, you don't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
You can actually be like, oh, well, actually, that guy's from Canada. We're supposed to hate Canada right now, so let's go after him. I used a Chinese AI.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I asked them about some influencers. I wanted to say, which influencers aligned with Chinese government values? See what it would say. Yeah. And it actually, when I asked it, like, which YouTubers are against the CCP's ideals, it wouldn't say us. It wouldn't say any of the other, you know, the China Uncensored or any of the other big guys. It said some guy that's very pro-China.
Weird. Because
of one minor weird little thing, which was not even a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they threw him under the bus to this 1.4 billion people that use this every day.
Yeah.
Because of one tiny innocuous thing. And it shows you, you can literally... Remember that one YouTuber, Xin Dan Dan?
Yeah.
He had a song in the background, which his editor put in, which said something about Fu Manchu or something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he got completely...
Canceled.
His life was ruined.
Yeah. And he was the biggest... He's this
guy.
This guy. Yeah.
You know, this was a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. This was just very important. We thought that we had to bring it up to show everyone, especially in this current climate.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go. We wanted to tell you about Shaban Ho.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can we set this up?
Sure. So Shaban Ho is our VIP thing we do every Monday. last week was phenomenal.
It was amazing. One of the better episodes we've ever done.
There's this stupid trend of people going on these like paid tours to China to try and debunk stereotypes. And we somehow think this is very connected to us.
Yes, because this guy from the Netherlands goes to China and talks about stuff that only we bring up.
Yes.
Like only we bring up some of these points and goes and debunks them.
Yeah, I love how he debunked whether you can drink water in China or not. What did he do? Can you tell everyone?
He used pool strips to test for like chlorine, not bacteria, to test for chlorine and hardness. And he goes, "Oh, I guess it's fine."
He's like, "Oh, there's no chlorine in the tap water,
well,
so
that's good.
Yeah, so it means it's good."
And he tested air pollution by using a CO2 monitor. He goes, "Well, it's in the green. The CO2 levels in the world are all the same. They're all within 400-ish."
Yes.
Right? Like it's dissolved in the atmosphere.
Yes.
He's like, "Wow, it's in the green. China's air quality is actually good. I guess that stereotype was wrong." And he has this minder with him, also from the Netherlands, that speaks perfect Chinese. And brings him to all these like shill points that go against what we say. So we did a full on breakdown.
It was really funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
So you can check it out.
Yeah, let's see. We have a little clip.
You better
from
not be drinking hotel water.
You
in China.
never.
You're gonna die.
Now let's try
It's
and see
for
what
a
happens when we boil.
pool. It's a pool strip. It's a freaking pool strip.
Yeah.
Oh no, it did change. The orange is.
Dude, you stuck the strip into boiling hot water. Like you get this broccoli hairdo and he's like, "Oh wow, it's amazing. I'm healthier here than I was in Netherlands." That's a lie. You know, I wonder what's going to happen next, because this just keeps getting stupider and stupider.
It does.
Your hey, chocolate, ma?
Oh, did you
he
see how he
fake put
tried
it
to
on.
fake? He's like made it worse. Like, "Oh, can I find a chocolate?" Oh man.
You're gonna want to go see that at patreon.com.
Oh yeah. Head on over to patreon.com/ADV podcasts.
Join us at the at Shaban Ho tier or the live tier. Go check it out. You're gonna want to see that one. If you want to see like a very obvious propaganda shill takedown video, it's very fun.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun with that, and we thank everybody who comes on Monday to join us for these fun shows. We've got a good one planned for this Monday as well. Anyway, now it's time to continue with Worldview. I had anti-government views, so they treated me for schizophrenia.
We're going way over right now, by the way.
All right.
But I do want to read a couple highlights from this.
Yes, please.
This is absolutely insane. So this guy, this kid, 17, you can leave it there.
Okay.
17-year-old kid, right?
Yeah.
He went to he joined the movement that was against all the lockdowns in China because people were dying in their apartments of starvation.
Yes, it was horrible.
You had the lineup for these COVID tests where they were like dipping in the same thing over and over again. You were lining up with people that had COVID.
Yes.
And then you were locked in your apartment with like no food and access to anything.
Except for Lianhua Qingwen. Yeah.
People were going insane.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So he was like, yeah, screw this, and joined the millions of people that are like, screw this. Which, by the way, China cracked down immensely on.
Yeah.
It's inhuman. A lot of those people disappeared.
Yeah.
They took this kid, they threw him in a psych ward, right? And go to the next thing. His official medical report, by the way.
Yeah, I can't wait to see
He's
it.
had no mental problems, by the way.
Okay.
His official medical report says the patient once again made false statements on the internet, criticized the Communist Party, shouted slogans, and organized illegal meetings, and he was admitted to our hospital for involuntary treatment. They forced him to take schizophrenia medicine, chained him to his bed for like 12 days or whatever, and said, "No, you're crazy. No, you're insane." And they said, so what was his crime? His crime was because he didn't like the Chinese government.
I like that the medical diagnosis is the patient made false statements on the internet, criticized the communists. But this, can you see, if you look at the top, it says whatever, UN, that's an actual hospital letterhead and date of admission.
Yes.
And this is his diagnosis of his disease. His disease is criticize the Communist Party.
Dear TikTok refugees.
Oh, wow.
Dear Americans and Xiaohongshu, I don't mind if you're having a great time. That's awesome. Please be aware that what you're being fed is a sanitized North Korea version of China. And the reality is that if you criticize the government, You go to a psych ward and get force-fed pills and strapped down.
And
right?
like electroshock therapy, right?
Yes. Do you know what happened? Do you know what happened?
What?
So he gets out.
Yeah.
Right? Immediately, they arrest him because he used, at some point in his life, used fireworks, right?
Yeah.
To like just messing around.
Yeah, everyone does in China.
In that city had like an anti-pollution ban thing for
Yeah.
fireworks. So immediately they did that thing where the PLA did this to us.
Yeah.
They let you go for a second. And they're like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
When we got searched by the People's Liberation Army, they came and harassed us and searched us and took all our drones and everything and checked everything. Then they drove off after we were terrified. They drove off and then stopped and then turned around and did it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
this
they're
is
I'll do
like
this.
what they did.
Yeah.
This is what they did this kid. So he managed to escape to New Zealand, by the way, to tell this story. And he managed to smuggle out his papers.
Yeah.
You go to a psych ward if you're against the Chinese
I just love
government.
that that's a medical diagnosis. Imagine that.
Yes. Please, refugees, TikTok refugees, understand. This is the plight of the Chinese people.
Yeah. We're going to cover
very-
this.
Very important. There's a bipartisan bill to revoke China's permanent normal trade relations. This is Democrats,
important.
Republicans, toe collect, dude.
Yeah.
Join in hands with each other. It's like that meme.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Let's read this bill real quick. It's super important. It's on the next slide.
Okay, it's on the next slide. Great. You're going to read it.
This will change the game.
This better go
Seriously.
through.
Yes. The bill would end the permanent normal trade relations for China. There would be no annual congressional
Isn't
vote.
it preferred?
Preferred. That's what
They are preferred. They're a preferred trade, whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The new column would create a minimum 35% ad valorem, an estimated on the value of the goods of the transaction tariff for non-strategic goods, and a minimum of 100% ad valorem tariff for all strategic goods. There's a phase-in period, so over a period of 5 years, it will go up to 100% on the tariffs, right? Strategic goods are listed in the bill by the HS code. They are based on the Biden administration's advanced technology product list. So remember these chips, all these things that need to be restricted, right? Upholding all of that stuff, bipartisan as well. The bill would end de minimis treatment.
Finally.
What is de minimis?
This is this garbage that allows Temu and stuff to take advantage of the USA. So previously, if you had something that was worth over $25 or something, customs would be able to check it.
Yeah.
Okay. But then they introduced this de minimis thing where anything that's under $600 value can just quickly go into America without checks,
That's
without
why you
all
have
this stuff.
Temu.
Yeah, exactly. Because they can just send rubbish through all the time, and they can send bulk packages of garbage as long as they mark it as under $600 in value. It goes through without checks.
Yes. It would provide tariff revenue to U.S. farmers and manufacturers injured by possible Chinese retaliation. Additional revenue would be used to purchase munitions vital to deterring CCP aggression in the Pacific. Bam, 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 bam. This needs to go through.
You know, like I see a lot of people saying, America's back, baby, or whatever. If this passes, I'm going to be saying America's back, baby. This has got to pass.
This is a fantastic bill that would help normal Americans on the ground with mom and pop shops and everyone that's been absolutely destroyed by this preferential trade status that China's been enjoying and taking advantage and weaponizing against the U.S. to absolutely have a stranglehold over the American
Why do you
economy.
think you can't find anything like a cheap electronic thing, any electronic thing these days that's not made in China?
It's
because of this.
You can't.
Yeah.
There's no incentive, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because they've had this loophole to take advantage of for decades now.
Yes.
So if this passes, we're going to see a transition period where a lot of things are going to suddenly start to be a little more expensive. But guess what? The quality is going to go up.
Absolutely.
It's going to bring manufacturing back to America and other countries, because it's not just America that's
And
hurt
people
by
aren't going to
this.
get set on fire by poisonous clothes and stuff. From
Exactly.
China. So here's the deal.
It's going to help everyone.
It would be insane if this didn't pass. Like, this is people agreeing. I'm just gonna say this. It's gotta pass, right? There'd be something very seriously wrong if this didn't pass.
Exactly.
Right? So awesome. Good stuff.
Cool. So shall we move on? Okay, we're going to go to our Q&A section, Yamcha. This is where we answer your questions. You question our answers. It's Friday. Time to loosen the tie. And if you're not watching this live, if you're not watching it on the weekend, we bid you adieu, and we will see you next week.
Go Bills.
Okay, go Bills, I guess.
Not guess. All my homies hate the Chiefs.
Is that like a duck bill?
Stop.
What?